never get free. Lamb to the slaughter, what you gon' do when there's blood in the water? The price of your greed is your son and your daughter. What you gon' do when there's blood in the water? Look me in my eyes, tell me everything's not fine, or that people ain't happy.
Hi guys, this is Ravenclaw What If. Welcome back to another What If story. Now this is what if Deku is a dark elf or drow. Let's go with dark elf so it doesn't confuse some of you. I don't know if you know any of the D&D stuff, so because they refer dark elves and drows in there. So let's go with dark elves because it's easier to remember. Now let's get some information out of the way, so we can take care of get into the story after I give the background of everything. What this world is. It's not in UA, but it's a separate dimension, so he'll eventually go there. But we're gonna deal with this first. All right, the dark elves are their size wise is pretty tall. A little taller than normal humans, slender built. Even the more buff ones are a lot slender compared to a other race with a similar build. So there's that. And how the society works in dark elves or drows, there was some sort of conflict between all the other elves, and they drove them back. They drove them into the mountains as their skin, gradually changed, and throughout the, give me a second here. A stupid thing. After the generations, the dark elves have gained affinity over, they're able to see in the dark. Majority of them are pretty much fireproof. As the rulership, how they rule in there, they worship a god called Sloth. Now, I couldn't really use the original pictures of her because for some reason that god they're always topless for some reason. So I found a more decent one where I could put on YouTube because I can't have that. So this is what she appears mostly. And all leadership roles usually go, it's basically run like this. All the females have more power than the male counterparts. It's that type of thing set up, just like in, I'm taking some of D&D lore into this, so I'm not copying the full lore, but pieces of it's in the story. So as they have a big anarchy about, I probably used the wrong word for that, but how would I say this? Men do get some power, but a lot of them focus into the arcane arts. Because there's no way they're going to climb up the power structure, and become some sort of, take the place of one of the high priestesses. It's not going to happen. So they normally focus in being a soldier, dipping their hands into alchemy, that sort of thing, and training their arcane arts to become magic users, mages, and stuff like that. Let me get down some of their personality set, how all dark elves are like this. As dark elves are more, more treacherous species of elves. They're friendly, they'll form alliances, then they'll backstab you when you no longer, when they no longer gain anything from it. And how the people, sorry, how they get promoted in this society is backstabbing and murder, assassinations, and all that cloak and dagger stuff. So that's their society is based off that. Right now, currently in the story, the Drows or the dark elves are at war with high elves and frost elves. That will become more clear in the story, or I have a plan for them. So as we start off our episode off, as you see a young woman being dragged into the head household inside the capital, as you have they were in the middle of a peace treaty. They've been doing that for about almost a year now, for the treaty between the frost elf race and the drows or the dark elves. So they're trying to get a backstab. They're trying to get at it, the high elves. So over the years, one of the people that came over for the process took a liking to one of the dark elves, and they begun to see each other. As you see the young dark elf being pulled, as it's Inko's mother. As you have the mother, she's one of the high priestesses in the society. So she's pretty high up. She's not the main leader, but she's pretty high up, and they have rules. And this is definitely breaking one of those rules. They don't believe in love and all that stuff because it's a weakness. They see it as a weakness. They do arranged marriages and stuff like that to reproduce because they get some sort of gain out of it. So so this right here is not something allowed. As she's chained up on the ground, as she's like, "Mother, wait!" As the lady looks at her, as this is what Inko's grandmother looks like. As she looks at her, and she's like, "You stop being my daughter as soon as you fraternize with one of their kind." As she sits down, as she waves her hand to gesture, do it. As they grab Inko's mother's head, as they force her to watch, as they kneel the frost elf down on his knees, as they chop his head off in front of him, as not Inko, sorry, the grandmother steps off her little throne, little chair, whatever, and she's like, "Such a pity. I had such high hopes for you. Throw her in the slave pit, as maybe at least I'll get a decent price for your looks." As she stops, and don't think I haven't noticed. Sorry, don't think I haven't noticed that you're. Give me a second here. I totally forgot what. As before she walks out, she's like, "Don't think I haven't noticed that you're with child." As she's like, as soon as that child comes of age, it's going to be thrown into the mines. I'll make sure of that. That abomination. At least we'll get some manual labor out of it. As she walks out, as they drag Inko's mother to get processed in slavery, as over the years that she was, not over the years, but during that time she was in slavery. They're big into slavery, short pause, yeah, at the whole society, yeah. They like, dark elves, how they work. It's weird, because, like, they find a strong opponent, and when they defeat that strong opponent, they enslave it for some reason. It's like, their version of Pokemon, I guess, but enough about that. But yeah, they're pretty messed up. They're pretty messed up. I don't know like everything about the drows, but yeah, that's hopefully I know it doesn't get too crazy. But let's continue. As Inca was born, as around when Inca was in her, I guess teens, it would be for elves because they age a whole lot differently than humans, so they have a longer lifespan. Give me a second here. Well, their lifespan is way long, so it's hard to judge. What would a what would a teen would be in elf years. So she might look like a teen, but all elves consider her quite young. Give me a second here. Let's. As Inko is at the age where she's able to marry and do that all that stuff, as she's been working in mines for many years, as Inko's mother's was sold off somewhere, so she doesn't know where. As soon as she gave birth to Inko, she was separated from her, so she has no idea what happened to her mother. Now, what the mines are, basically, it's where they mine their material, where they build their capital. It's right next to a very large metal vein where they get their dark metal from. It's basically like an elven version of metal, but it's just black. So there's a small process they have to go through, but the dark elves have their own process. So their blades are way more powerful than normal weapons. So especially when you chant it with magic. So yeah, that's weapon workers pretty freaking deadly. And they always dip their blades in poison. And they can't be poisoned by their own poison. So yeah, they're an interesting race. And this what Inko looks like. So let you guys know. As you have a as you have this man walking through the slavery pits. The slavery pits are right next to the mine, so easy, place to have them work. So he walks up to the the slave master. As he's like, "Ah, oh, sir, what can I do for you today?" And she's like, "Yes, I'm in the market of retrieving one of your merchandises, so to say." It's like, "Oh, nice. Yes, we have a lot of them. We have quite a bit. I could, get rid of one or two. So what are you looking for?" As this man is Sasashi. And she's, someone unique. As he's looking around, as he's been all around the capital looking for someone unique. This will be explained into what if. So as he's like, "What a pity. I thought I would find someone here at least." As he's about to leave, as he senses a very cold aura, not like cold like in a deadly attempt, just in natural cold, because Ingo has a strong affinity for ice. The ice affinity and the powers comes from the frost elf bloodline that's in Inko and will be in Izuku. That's why he's so strong in magic, or so strong in ice, at least. As he gets a sense of a presence from a actual, what he feels is what he feels when he's around frost elves, especially towards their mages and sorcerers and all their magical areas. And she's like, interesting. Slave master. That one. How much? And she's like, that one by her, as it was quite pricey, as Asashi, pays the slave master. As the slave master, you girl, over here now. As Inko walks over her, as what? As he flops a slave collar on her, as it's a collar with a chain. As he hands it to Sashi, there you go. Nice doing business with you. Glad to get rid of that one. She's been trouble. As over the years, in that slave pit in the mines, she got what was it called? There was a group of women or another group of elves that are around her age that was in the same situation. So they stayed to themselves and protect each other. So she found a sisterhood, being with that group. So there's that. That will come in play later, but let's continue. As he's like, "Come on, I don't have much time to explain." As he goes, what are you? So you bought me? I don't know what you're planning." As they walk into, one of his many homes that he has in different cities, because he travels a lot. He normally stays in his one area, but when he travels, he has separate um, buildings in his name that he owns. It's just a, one bedroom type of deal. As he pulls her in, flops her on the bed, as as he's standing up, as he goes like, "I don't know what you're trying to do. If you're going to force myself, I'll kill you, and then I'll kill myself." As yeah, she doesn't. That's not happening. But as he's like, "No, dear, that's not why I purchased you." As he's like, "Why don't you why don't you come over here and sit on it with me at the table? I'll make some tea." As he makes some tea, as she's like, "What are you after?" As he gives Inko some tea, as he walks past her, as he's facing like the fireplace, as he's like, "I'm in a stage of my life that I wish to teach." As she's like, "Teach? What do you mean?" "As a traveling mage, I've had quite an interesting life, and I'm at the point where I want to pass on my knowledge. I refuse," as he has his hands behind his back the whole time. I refuse to have all my life work just fade off in the history books. As Inko starts laughing, as he's like, "I know it's funny for one of our kind that has extremely long lives to worry about death, but it frightens me to the core." As Inko's like, "So what? You want me as your apprentice or something?" And she's like, "Exactly." As she's like, "But why? I don't have no, I'm not very good at magic. I do have it, but oh, I know you're. Let me guess. You're very talented when it comes to ice magic, isn't?" As her eyes widen. "How do you know about that?" "Oh, it's mostly because of your frost elf lineage." As she stepped back, as didn't my didn't my grandmother send you here? As he's like, "Oh no, now her grandmother has been torturing her little visits, just to have her suffer." So there's that. So no, dear. As he's like, "How about we get rid of that?" As he snaps his fingers, as each side of the collar heat up a little bit as it snaps, as it falls off Inko's neck. As he's like, "You're no longer a slave. Now you can, you could leave, do what you want, or you could come with me out of this place." As he has a pissed off look, as Inko's like, what you mean leave the capital? As he's like, yeah, oh yeah, I wasn't planning to stay here for very long. I despise the people from the capital. They disgust me, as he doesn't like the whole backstabbing thing. He's one of the unique ones. So as she's like, you're not, I've never met one of our kind. You're weird. As she doesn't know what to think about this. And she's like, what do you say, Inko? As as he has his hand out, as she grabs it, as like, very well. Yes. All right, come on, let's go. As they walk through the city, as you know, the guards will try to stop him, but they have no authority over him. So as they leave, now over the years of their travel, of her learning magic, Asashi and her has gotten close. Eventually, things got more personal for them. So as they got married and all of that, as Inko and Masashi decided to create a town, an area where all races can come along and, you know, trade and all that stuff. It's in an area of the, it's an area where it's not anyone's, sorry, it's not on anyone's land, like the elves or the humans. It's neutral ground. So it's between the border between the high elves and the frost elves. It's right between their border. Perfect for a trading town. As Inko has, you know, became pregnant with Izuku, as they have it's a decent sized town. It has their own soldiers, own security. They're not as powerful as a full nation, but you know they're a very small nation of their own. Asashi refused to be called king, so they just call him, you know, Asashi, because you know he's not all about the titles. he he despises that. Okay, when Izuku was born, his skin's a lot more bluish than for a drow, and his eye color, his he has two different eye colors. His right eye is it's like his mother's. It's purple, and his left eye is a glowing blue iris. Because a lot of ice elves have like glowing blue eyes, so I'm just adding that in because you know why not? It's interesting. So now over the years, yeah, it's we're gonna talk about this real fast. Over the years, the only magic that she doesn't have a good knowledge of is ice because that's more of she needs to be taught by someone from the frost elf race to refine her abilities and to to properly channel her mana properly. So Asashi did what he can, but she's a mixture between two races, so it's hard to judge the proper way to do it. So there's that. And Izuku personality is a little bit, you know, he's kind of a smartass and he jokes around a little bit. But when he gets serious or pissed, yeah, people end up getting hurt. He has a vicious temper. So when he goes all out, yeah, it gets kind of bloody sometimes. He's friendly to all different races. He doesn't care what you look like. As long as you're strong, that all that matters. As we're gonna time skip until he's, let's say, he would look like he was six. You know, yeah. Let goes that. He's around. he looks like he's around 6 years old. As for the other two nations that they know about this little kingdom of theirs, the Frost Elves don't care. They don't see him as a threat, so they leave him alone. But the High Elves, no, they constantly attack the village. So as one day where Izuku was doing one of his lessons with his mother, as she's showing him how to, where she learned from Sashi. She's been teaching him at a young age. As soon as he was able to walk, he was in magic training right away. Because getting her son prepared for what's to come, because they've been constantly attacked. Luckily, the Frost Elves haven't been attacking, or they would have been crushed a long time ago. And the humans don't interfere because that's elf business as far as they see it. That's elf affairs. They think as why is there a bunch of knife eaters killing each other? As the humans don't quite understand it. Because they all think all elves are the same race. Because, they're ignorant of the one of the longest living species on the planet in that dimension. But enough about that. As they hear a loud bang as several soldiers come in, as the alarm goes off, we're being attacked, Asashi. As Asashi's like, Inko, take all the civilians to the safe zone. As she runs off, I grabs Izuku. As he's like, Mom, where are we going? Don't worry, sweetheart. We need to gather everyone. I'll tell you later. As they gather everyone, it's somewhere in town where it's. Let me think about this for a second. It's like a small underground cavern underneath the city. As we cut to the outside, as there's an army of elves, as their commander's walking far forward, as it's like, it's time to eradicate the purge. Kill all drows. Kill all the knife ears. Or, not knife ears, because that would be an insult to their species too. As he shouts out, kill all the dark elves. Leave none standing. As they all charge through the city. As you see all the high elves walking through the burned city, executing anyone they see. As you have Asashi charging with his men at the high elves. As the high elf commander bind him. As shards of arrows shoot out, killing majority of the soldiers as they bind Asashi in a binding circle. As he's like, this won't stop me. As he's like, give up, dark elf. Your kind should have been eradicated from the start. As Asashi finally breaks through, as he shoots a fireball at the commander as he goes flying back. As the commander gets, what are you doing, fools? Kill him! As they're shooting off magical spells at him, as he's reflecting it, as he gets hit with several arrows in his chest. Sorry, give me a second here. As Asashi falls to his knees, coughing up blood, as the commander walks up, unsheaths his blade, as he's like, I condemned you to death for being a dark elf, like the rest of your kind. Don't worry, I'll find your family and they'll follow suit. As he chops his head off. As he posts it on a pole and march through the city. As they march through the city with Asashi's head on a stick, basically. A stake, basically, carrying it around. as we cut to Inko, as she's trying to get to the safe zone, as she got cut off by several of the soldiers from the High Elves. As he's like, Izuku, take the rest of them to the area where you like to play. The the cave. I say, okay, Mom, I will. Mom, but are you gonna be okay? I could kill them for you if you want me to. As yeah, he doesn't really care. He's a dark elf, so yeah, he's had to kill before. A lot of people go into the city in disguise and try to kill any dark elf they could get. You know, that the whole hatred and prejudice thing does occur in the city occasionally. So Izuku has came across a few times where he had to kill someone. So as he goes off and does it, as Inko gets ready to fight, as she's fire, as she's using fire spells, as she's launching them at them, as arrows being placed, being shot at her, as one pierces inside her rib, as Inko, was about to get her head chopped off by a sword, as she hits him with a magic, with her magical pressure, basically using her magical powers just to knock him out of the way. As he goes flying, as she's shit. As she knows she's not going to make this one. As she somehow managed to use some ice magic to a new descent she's never been able to. As she creates like a iceberg, basically ice mountain, freezing everyone, including her, into it. She lost control of the spell because it was too intense. So as she, stuck there. Now, I don't know if she's going to die or she'd live. I'll put a pull up for that, but yeah, that's a thing. As the time progressed over the raid of the city, they gathered and the ones that day were left alive was crucified, put in display. As you have one of the ice elves or frost elves walking through the burned city. As she's walking through the city, as she's seeing the chaos, as she's not liking what she sees, as she's like, damn it. I left them alone because I wasn't sure if I should intervene, but I should have intervened a long time ago. It's the ruler of the Frost Elves. And she's very skilled. She's very skilled in the arcane arts, especially in the ice magic. That's what she's well known for. As she comes across a big structure of ice, as she sees several high elves stuck in ice, frozen, as she sees a young woman in there, and she's like, that poor thing. As she have a hard time sensing if she has a life sign. So she doesn't quite sure if she's alive or not. Poor thing. Can't even tell if she's alive. I'll leave you in. I'll leave you in there for now until I could study that a little more. But we gotta deal with this. As we cut to Izuku, where he's at right now. As he's being there, all the children being cornered. As they grab several of them as they begin executing everyone. I know this is going to be, this is kind of dark, so I should have put a disclaimer in the beginning of the episode. My bad, I forgot to. But yeah, it is dark. So all the civilians that was gathered were executed swiftly with extreme prejudice, as the man has the kid by the head, pulling his hair up. And he's like, this one's next. As Izuku kicks him in the stomach, jumps, does a backflip as he starts snapping his fingers as explosions are coming towards all the men. As Izuku falls on his butt, as he's like, ow, 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 that was a pain in the butt. As all the men was, most of them were killed. As one of them gets up, as he's like, bastard, as he's walking with his sword. As Izuku's trying to hit him with ice. As it hits him, but it's not doing anything, because it's not really that powerful. He hasn't been training that. It's very weak compared to other spells. It's like, damn it, should have used a fireball. As, would it make you feel better if I said, oh, sorry that I killed all your friends, I guess? My bad. Yes, I'm gonna kill you, little shit. I'm gonna hang your head as a as an ornament in my living room. As ice shards comes straightly towards the guy, killing him instantly as he goes flying off. High elves. As Izuku gets up, sorry, give me a second here. As he immediately does a fireball spell, as he's doing that in rapid succession. I just couldn't find one that just had a part of the hand, so yeah. That's basically what Izuku doing to our frost elf, unfortunately. As she's reflecting it quite easily, as she's like, still novice boy. As she's like, be a good boy and stay put. As Izuku just gets frozen from head to toe. As she's like, not funny, lady. Release me so I can kill you. And she's like, oh, no, I'm not going to do that. And she's like, you fart too. You're a rookie, kid. And she flicks his nose. She's like, sad. As Izuku's like, where's my mother? As she looks at his eyes, and she's like, huh, interesting. I'm not going to sugarcoat it, kid. No one was left alive, and sadly, your parents most likely was one of them. As Izuku gets pissed, as she's like, enough of that. I know you're angry. What I want to know, young man, is what are you? You're clearly a dark elf, but I sense one of us as one of my kind as well. As Izuku, what do you mean? Huh. She sits down next to, as she breaks the ice out of him. As she's like, Jesus, that's cold. As he was a little bit cold from that. He'll later not get affected by the coldness, but he's still, that will come in handy when he does his training, but let's continue. And she's like, I don't know how this is possible. And she's like, it can't wait. Wait, could it be? As she's thinking, is your father, is your parents either named Inko or Sashi Midoriya? As he's like, yeah. As he's like, that makes sense now. As you're coming with me. As he's like, why would I come with you? You can either stay here and, they might come back and finish the job. Or you could come with me and I could teach you how to use magic properly. As she gives out her hand out, as Izuku grabs it, as we're going to end the episode off there. Hope you guys have a good night and day, judging by time zones. Alright, bye.